2, 3. This is Chef Paul. We're doing soft pretzels today. So we're going to talk a little bit about what a soft pretzel is, what leavening we're using, and it's very similar for the advanced class when we did pizza dough. The cooking process is different, but we're going to revisit it and we're going to talk a little bit about the leavener. First of all, we're going to talk about leavener. We're going to be using yeast. All right, yeast is an organic leavener. That means it's alive, okay? It also means this is not a quick bread. So there's nothing quick about this. So this is a process. And we're going to go over the process and you're going to learn how to do it. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to deal with yeast. So we're going to put yeast in a separate bowl. We got to wake it up. All right, so it's alive. We got to get it going. We got to wake it up. So to wake it up, we're going to put our yeast in here. We're using dry yeast, okay? And I'll put a little bit of yeast here and here. All right, got the yeast going here. Now you can do it either way. You can have it go water first, yeast first. It really doesn't matter, but I got the yeast there and we're gonna turn on and we're gonna be using warm water, okay? Warm water. You don't wanna use cold water. We need to wake the yeast up. You can use cold water, but it'll take a lot longer. So we're gonna be using warm water in this process, okay? Remember, how do you know it's warm? It's just when it feels warm to touch, all right? You're 98.6 degrees. If I touch this and it feels warm, that means I'm gonna be right around 100 degrees and that's perfect. 100 to 120 degrees is perfect. Yeast dies at 140 degrees. So if you were to boil this water and use it, you would kill the yeast. All right, I'm gonna go a little bit more here. This is 6 ounces, so I'm using a half a cup and a quarter of a cup. Boom, I'm putting that in there. So we got the yeast in, now we're gonna add sugar. Now, yeast is alive. It feeds, it needs to eat, so we're gonna feed sugar. So it feeds on sugar, so we're gonna use sugar. You could use honey, you could use maple syrup. There's lots of different things you can use as a sugar product, but we're gonna go ahead and use straight sugar in this. So here we go, we're gonna add the sugar. Okay, really simple. So right now, I have water, sugar, and yeast. And I'm just gonna mix this. Okay, we're just gonna slightly mix this here. And this is where it's gonna start. The yeast is gonna start to wake up. Carbon dioxide will start. Right now, there's nothing going on. When we come back, you're gonna see bubbles. And that means that our yeast is woken up and we're ready to go. All right, so the yeast is ready to go. I'm going to talk again about this as a straight dough mixing method is what we call this. A basic method that you use for making bread. Pizza dough, cinnamon roll, sweet doughs, and even a soft pretzel. So what it is you're always going to start with your yeast. So you're going to have a liquid, whether it's water, milk, or whatever liquid you're using. A lot of cases it's water. We're using water right now. So we have water, sugar, yeast. That's what's in here. We have the water warm. It woke up the yeast, and the yeast is alive. It's going to create carbon dioxide, and we're going to have leavening going on. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to add the flour to our bowl. We're going to be doing this by hand. If we were at Deer Valley, you'd be using a KitchenAid mixer with a dough hook. If you have it at home, go ahead and use it. But right now, I'm just going to assume that most of you don't. So we're gonna do it by hand. It can do the same. You're just gonna have to knead it. Here we go. So we put that in there. We got our flour going on. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the salt in here. We never put the salt in the yeast. The salt kills yeast. It makes it so the yeast doesn't grow or retards it. So you want to make sure that you put the salt separate from the yeast. So we're gonna go ahead and add the yeast to it. All right, so I got the salt here. It means there's salt in here. All right. Last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the fat, okay? So in this case, I'm using butter. So in pizza, you might use olive oil. You know, there's all different types of fats. We're using butter. So we're gonna put some butter in here. In pretzels, there's a lot of butter. So we're gonna go ahead and put the butter inside. Perfect. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this now and I'm going to pour it into here and I'm going to use a wooden spoon. Like I said, if it was a KitchenAid mixer, you'd pour it all on, you'd hit the dough hook and you would mix it. Here we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump all of this in. Get it all in here and I'm going to use a wooden spoon to start it. And then I'm going to have to put this on the board. and then I'll adjust it. If I need to add any more liquid, I'll add more liquid to it. I may have to add more water. It looks like until it comes together. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to add a little bit more water. It's not coming together, so just add a little bit more water. I'll add some more water to it, just a pinch. There we go. And then it all starts to come together. And now I'm gonna put keep mixing it till I get it to come together. A little more water in this one. There we go. Keep mixing this. Okay, it should come together. It's starting to come together now. By hand, you may need to add a little more than in a mixing bowl. Okay, it looks like we're there. Gotta get it to come. Now it's starting to come together. I can knead it. You just want to get it where we can knead it and take it, yeah. And then I'm gonna put it on the board and I'm gonna finish it. You're gonna get it here, It's all starting to come together. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I may add just a pinch more water, whatever I have droplets here. Now, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it on the board and I'm gonna start kneading it. Looks like we're getting dough. Perfect. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it here, put this on the cutting board, and now I'm gonna have to knead this for about 5 minutes. You just kind of keep kneading it. Okay, it looks like this board is like water. Take a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. Now, you're just gonna knead it. So we're gonna do this for 5 minutes, and then we're gonna come back. All right, so I've been doing it for about, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes, and you see, making sure you use the heel of your hand, and you just keep kneading it, pushing that heel of your hand, push it down. You gotta really use some strength, and you can feel the dough changing its texture. When you're making dough, the amount of flour and water will always be adjusted by the environment. You see, I had to add a little bit extra water. At times you'll make it and you won't have to add water. At times you'll have to add more flour. But you want it to look like how it's coming here, and you just keep kneading it. Keep kneading it. You gotta get it to it. You know, it's old school style, no mixer. If you have a mixer, you got a KitchenAid mixer, make sure you use a dough hook, and you'll let it go for 5 minutes. It's much easier. You see, yeah, it's starting to come together now. Okay. Okay, we're back. It's been about 5 minutes. I've kneaded this dough. I don't know if you can see now, it's nice and shiny. It's got that nice and smooth. So when you're dealing with dough, it's never 100%. So as you're going through this, you may have to add water like I did. You may have to add a little bit of flour, and then you gotta knead it. And the kneading is what makes it nice and smooth. So you're gonna get, after you knead it, now what we gotta do is you gotta make a nice ball, okay? And then we're gonna proof it. We gotta bring it, proofing means we're gonna let it rise. So what we're gonna do is we got this nice little ball here, and we're gonna put it in this bowl. I'm gonna brush this with a little bit of butter. You know, if this was pizza dough, I'd be using olive oil. But for a pretzel, we're gonna go ahead and we're going to use butter. So I put that down here like that. I put that there, and I'm gonna brush this with butter as well. Look at that, perfect. Now, I'm gonna wrap some plastic wrap. And you can use plastic wrap, you can use a moist towel, you can use parchment paper, whatever, just cover it. I'm gonna cover it up, and I'm gonna put it up here, and I'm just gonna let it set, to rise. So we're gonna check back on that in about, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, and we'll see how we're doing. Okay, we're looking at the dough. Our dough is still rising, it looks good. The next step on pretzels before we roll them out is, the key with pretzels are these are gonna be soaked in water. So what I'm gonna need is water and baking soda. So what I'm gonna do here is I had water in here and baking soda, and it needs to dissolve. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna stir this here. I'm gonna get it up to just almost a boil, but not quite. It doesn't have to be a boil, but it does have to get hot. You need to melt the baking soda or get it so it dissolves into the water. And then what we're going to do is we're gonna take this mixture and we're gonna pour it into a bowl. It'll get kind of cool. And then we're gonna make our pretzels, and we will soak them in this mixture. This is what makes pretzels. It gives them that tang. So we'll take the pretzel, we'll soak, this will be in a bowl, and you'll soak them in there for anywhere between 10 to 20 seconds. Then you take them out. Now, the key with making pretzels are getting them not to stick. In a pretzel shop, they have actual pans like this, which are non-stick pans. These are they're designed to go into the oven and you can bake on them and they won't stick. Most people don't have them. We don't have them at the school. So we're going to be baking on parchment paper. Parchment paper works, but the pretzels will stick. So what you will do, and I will show you, is you will dip them in the water and you will put them on parchment paper and you will let them set and kind of dry. And then you will put them on a well-oiled or sprayed parchment before we bake them, and I will show you that. But right now you can see we're almost there. It's not, if you take a look in here, you can see it's not quite dissolved. There's still a little bit of baking soda in there, so we're not ready yet. You can see it, it's real close. We're just about there. It looks like it's dissolved. So now this is gonna be good to go, and soon we'll make pretzels. Right, so the next step, actually I touched it so it started to come down, but it definitely was proofed up large. So next step is what you're going to do is once it proofs, you take it and you're just going to lay it out on your board, just like that, okay? You don't need any flour at this point. It has a lot of butter in it. I just brushed it with butter. The dough itself has a lot of butter. So we're just going to cut this. So I think for this one here, I'm probably going to cut this in 4. So I'll cut it in 4. You can cut it in whatever you want. You can, depending on the size of the pretzel or what you want to make. So you get them like that, you cut them in like little pieces of pie, and then I'm going to show you how you roll them out. So what I've done is, you saw I cut them in 4. You can cut them in any size you want, but these are going to be fairly large. So once you get them cut, you're going to roll them. You're going to use the cutting board that you have. It's kind of a measurement. You just keep rolling them with your hands. They kind of feel hollow. That's the air in there. Just keep pushing down and rolling and rolling and rolling. If you want to do bites, you'll get to a point where instead of rolling them, you would cut them, all right? But I'm gonna roll one first and then I can show you what you would do if you're doing bites. I'm gonna keep going, keep going, keep rolling them. Gotta get them larger than the board. Keep going, it's getting there, they're getting there. Keep going, there we go, there we go. All right, and once you get them nice and rolled, you're gonna take them, all right, this one's kind of not even. We'll figure it. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. You're going to take it here, you make a U. Then you flip them this way, then you're going to come back. Then you end up with a pretzel. Now the key with these pretzels are, now we're going to put them in our water, okay? So once we get them, we're going to put them in our water for 10 seconds. So we take them and we set them in our water. Just about 10 seconds there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Take them out. Now we're going to let them dry. Put them on. This is a greased parchment. Now what will happen here is they will stick. Okay, so what's going to happen is we're going to put them in there, we're going to let them set, and then you're going to change the parchment again. Otherwise, when you bake them, they are going to stick. So you put them on that pan, we're going to let them set, then you're going to decide what we're going to flavor them with. Then we're going to bake them. Next thing, I'm going to show you bites. So you're going to cut them this kind of long, so I'm just going to cut this one in half. And you're just going to make bites. Now these bites, you can make cinnamon ones, which I'll show you if you want to. You take them like this, and you just cut them in pieces. You're gonna make little bites. You do the same thing. You're gonna pick these up and we're gonna put them in the water. Get them in here and then we'll count. Get them in. Okay, whoa. All right, and we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're gonna go 15 to 20 seconds. It doesn't have to be, exact. That looks good. Get them out. This. All right. And do the same thing. Remember, these will stick. So I'm going to change this pan, or you guys will change this pan when you do them. All right. We're making cinnamon sugar. It's really easy, cinnamon sugar. I'm going to mix it in here. It's 3 to 1. So it's 3 parts sugar to 1 part cinnamon. So we'll go ahead and put 3 tablespoons sugar in here. Okay. And we'll put 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. just like that, and then you mix it. And you got cinnamon sugar. There you go. It's 3 to 1. So that's 3 tablespoons of sugar, and it's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we got cinnamon sugar, and we're going to turn those bites into cinnamon bites. What we got here is you have the pretzels in the water. The water is that baking soda water that we heated up to dissolve. Now it's just kind of warm. It's not real hot, so it's not hot to touch. You let it set in there for anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds, and then you take them out. Okay, so now what I've done is I've switched the pan from the one that was all wet with the water so it doesn't stick, and I put them on another pan. So you would put them on another clean, fresh sheet of parchment, and now you're gonna brush them with a little bit of butter. And we'll do butter again, just a little bit on the top. Okay? And brush them with a little bit of butter. Just a tad bit. And then depending on what you're gonna do, if you're gonna add salt to them, or I'll make one with, if you're gonna add salt, if you do add salt, make sure you use a thick salt and don't put a lot. If you don't have the real thick pretzel salt, then you're only gonna use a very little bit, okay? Because the thick pretzel salt, it's not as bad as when you're using fine. If you're using table salt, I wouldn't use it at all. So either get a nice a thick salt of some kind. If you can actually find the pretzel salt, which is extra thick, then you would use that. If not, don't put any salt at all. All right, so I did one with salt. The other ones I'm going to do it with cheese. And so now what we got here is we got them spread out. We got a salt one. I did one with a little spinach on top, and the other one I put a little bit of a mozzarella and cheddar cheese. And we would serve them with maybe a marinara sauce on the side. So I'm gonna put them in the oven. I got the oven set at 400 degrees. It should take about 10 minutes. Check it out. All right, so as you can see, I took these out. The big ones aren't ready yet. These are small, the bites, so they're already they've already cooked. They're plain right now. There's nothing on them. I could have done anything. You can season these with anything. Cajun seasoning, garlic, you name it, you can season them. But we're gonna just add a little bit of butter to these real quick. Just using melted butter, like this. Get a little bit of melted butter on them. Okay, just like that. And then we're gonna take our cinnamon sugar and pour cinnamon sugar all over them. Pour cinnamon sugar. Okay, get them all in there. And then you toss them. Nice and crunchy, and you can, all that cinnamon sugar on there. Get them to hit them. A little bit more cinnamon sugar. Take them. And we'll take them and you put them on a plate. That looks perfect. And we have, oh great, there goes one. And here you go. And you have cinnamon bites. Okay, so I'm making one last cinnamon. I just buttered this pretzel and I added some more cinnamon sugar on it. Just a little bit here, a little butter. And I added some more on this one. Kind of get it on there good. Just kind of get the cinnamon sugar on there. Make sure you get them all coated. Make sure you butter them well. These are cooked perfect. They're nice and light. Okay, you put them over here. So now what we have here is you have marinara sauce. Right, you got marinara sauce for your pizza pretzels. This one is just your basic pizza pretzel. You cut and dip in that one. This one's got the mozzarella, cheddar, and spinach. And then you have your bites. Your bites are over here. And you can make a cream cheese dipping sauce too. If you remember from last year, we did it. This is for the advanced class. If they wanted to, you would actually do a cream cheese dipping sauce. It's really good in that.